On the day of their engagement party, Ethan Sullivan, the man who was the one that got away for his fiancée Victoria Rivers, suddenly appeared. Just as the banquet was about to begin, Victoria vanished. A frantic, Sincere Blackwood searched desperately, only to find his fiancée in the hotel parking garage, begging her old flame for a kiss. The hem of Victoria's white gown was spread across the concrete floor like a wilted lily. She had kicked off her high heels at some point, and her bare ankles were strikingly white under the cold lights, her eyes glistening with tears. After a passionate kiss, Victoria, her eyes red, looked at Ethan Sullivan with guilt in her voice. "I'm so sorry, Ethan, it's all my fault. I'm the one who made you suffer so much." "Vicky, you said you would marry me, so why are you marrying Sincere Blackwood?" Ethan yelled, his eyes just as red. I'm sorry, Ethan." Victoria's tears finally fell. She took Ethan's hand and placed it on her own cheek, pleading, "Ethan, hit me. Hit me until you feel better, okay? I was wrong." With that, she slid down his body and knelt directly in front of him. "Just go." Ethan looked up, wiping away a tear. "I shouldn't have disturbed your wedding. I'll leave right now." He made a move to walk away, but Victoria wouldn't have it. She threw her arms around his calf and began to beg, "Ethan, I'm not getting married. I'll call it off with Sincere, okay? I'll marry you." Ethan turned his head. "Vicky, I don't want to make things difficult for you." "No, it's not difficult," Victoria said quickly. "My engagement with Sincere is just a business arrangement. I only agreed because he was nice to me. He's never even touched me." At these words, Ethan's eyes visibly brightened. "Vicky, does that mean you've been waiting for me?" Victoria nodded shyly. As Ethan's hand caressed Victoria's cheek, Sincere felt the ring box in his pocket. He suddenly found it laughable. In the past 3 hours he had imagined countless potential disasters, but he never expected to witness his own engagement ring become a joke with his own eyes. Victoria Rivers, you're really something else," Sincere muttered, turning away with a blank expression. Back in the banquet hall, Sincere's father, Marcus Blackwood, walked up to his son's cold face and asked, "What's wrong with you? Where's Victoria?" Sincere forced a smile. "She'll be here soon." Unaware of the situation, Marcus nodded. "Then why the long face? You're getting engaged. You should be happy." "Happy? Of course I'm happy," Sincere chuckled dryly. "You might be happy, but your mother was so angry she didn't even come. Since you're getting engaged, I won't say any more," Marcus said, patting Sincere's shoulder. After the host finished his opening remarks, Victoria finally arrived, hand in hand with Ethan Sullivan. "Where have you been, child? Why are you so late?" Her father, Arthur Rivers, scolded her with a dark expression. "Huh? Vicky? Who is this?" her mother Eleanor asked, looking at Ethan. "He's my brother," Victoria blurted out instinctively. "What is this behavior, holding hands like that?" "Let go immediately," Arthur snapped. "Do you know what time it is? Get on stage. Don't keep Sincere waiting." Victoria turned and spoke gently to Ethan. "Wait for me here. I'll be right back." "Okay, sure," Ethan nodded obediently. Then Victoria's expression shifted from gentle to cold as she strode onto the stage. "That Victoria Rivers has no manners at all, being late for an occasion like this. I really don't know what you see in her," Marcus Blackwood said, displeased. Marcus had always been against this marriage, but his son was hopelessly in love, and no amount of persuasion from him or his wife worked. In the end, he had no choice but to agree. Sincere glanced at the stage with a faint smile, then walked up with his hands in his pockets. At that moment, Victoria wasn't paying attention to Sincere. Her eyes were fixed on Ethan in the audience, exchanging flirtatious glances with him. Just moments before, Ethan had told her that he hoped she would go through with the wedding to Sincere. She asked why. The answer he gave was, "I think it would be thrilling." Because Ethan liked the idea, Victoria had agreed immediately. Though she was physically present on the stage, her heart was already elsewhere. The two stood on either side of the host. Just as the host was about to pick up the microphone, Sincere suddenly snatched it from him. The move left everyone baffled. Sincere brought the microphone to his lips and said, "Distinguished guests, thank you for coming to my engagement party, but I'm very sorry. This engagement is off." The entire hall erupted in chaos. The first to his feet was Arthur Rivers. "Sincere, what are you saying? You're calling it off?" Eleanor Rivers also stood up, her face anxious. "Sincere, what's wrong? Did you two have a fight?" Marcus Blackwood stood as well, completely bewildered by his son's actions. Sincere Blackwood, what is the meaning of this? You're the one who proposed, and now you were the one calling it off. What are you trying to do, humiliate me in front of everyone? Victoria shouted as she marched up to Sincere. She raised her hand to slap him, but Sincere sidestepped and countered with a backhand slap of his own. A sharp smack echoed. Ah, Victoria screamed, crumpling to the floor. Seeing his daughter get hit, Arthur roared, "Sincere Blackwood, what are you doing?" He and Eleanor rushed to Victoria's side. When he saw the swollen half of his daughter's face, Arthur's blood boiled. He stood up and pointed at Sincere, yelling, "Sincere Blackwood, have you lost your mind? How dare you hit Vicky?" Smack, 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 smack. 4 consecutive slaps knocked the fury right out of Arthur's eyes, leaving them clear with shock. Sincere narrowed his eyes. "Listen here, you old fool, have you gotten used to throwing your weight around? You dare speak to me like that? Are you out of your mind?" Smack. Another full swing slap landed. Sincere bellowed, "You stand up straight when you talk to me. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?" Arthur was slapped into silence. Clarity returned to him. He had truly lost his head to anger, daring to shout at the heir of the Blackwood family. What nerve! He knew full well that the only reason the Rivers family could act so arrogantly in S-City was because of the Blackwoods' support. Without it, the Rivers family wouldn't even rank in the top 10. Sincere. Eleanor stood up, her voice trembling. "What on earth is happening? Why are you doing this?" Sincere had someone bring him a chair. He sat down and crossed his legs. "I'd say I've treated your Rivers family quite well, wouldn't you?" Arthur and Eleanor exchanged a look and quickly nodded. "I told you to speak." "Cat got your tongue now?" Speak, Sincere roared, making both of them flinch. Arthur stammered. "Yes. Quite well. No. Very well." "Oh, if I've been so good to you, then why did your daughter betray me?" Betray? Sincere, there must be some misunderstanding," Eleanor said, her eyes wide with disbelief. Sincere sneered. "I knew you'd deny it." He snapped his fingers, and instantly a video appeared on the large screen behind him. The moment the video started, both Victoria on the stage and Ethan in the audience stared with wide eyes. They knew this video well, because it was what they had just done. "Don't play it, turn it off, turn it off." Now Victoria no longer cared about her stinging face. She lunged forward, trying to shut off the video, but Sincere slapped her to the ground again. "Let everyone see just how cheap and despicable the president of S-City's Rivers Corp really is, Sincere. Can we talk about this at home? Please, let's just go home and talk." "Turn off the video," Victoria pleaded, sitting paralyzed on the floor, clutching Sincere's pant leg. "What, scared now? A minute ago you were terrified your little lover would leave," Sincere said, slowly crouching down. He grabbed a fistful of Victoria's hair, yanking her head back so she was forced to look at him, the pain making her wince. "When I loved you, you could scream and shout at me and I wouldn't care. Now that I don't love you, what the hell are you?" "I'm so sorry, Ethan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten engaged to Sincere. I was wrong. I'll go break off the engagement with him right now. Just go. I'm the one who disturbed you." "No, that's not it. I was wrong, Ethan. Don't go." As the video played, the people in the banquet hall watched with rapt attention, pointing and whispering. "Wow, I can't believe it. I always heard the president of Rivers Corp was so high and mighty. Turns out she's just this kind of trash. Tell me about it. I never would have guessed. A woman like that can be a president? I'd say Rivers Corp is on its last legs." Rivers Corp is probably finished. Cheating on the heir to the Blackwood Corporation. A company of their size is nothing compared to the Blackwoods. "Arthur, look what your daughter has done." At that moment, Marcus Blackwood strode in, his face livid with rage. "My Blackwood family has not been unkind to you. Is this how you repay us?" Arthur Rivers waved his hands frantically. "No, it's not like that, Mr. Blackwood. I had no idea about this. Hey, look, isn't that the other man?" A guest in the audience pointed at Ethan Sullivan. "I think it is he actually dared to stay here. The nerve on that guy." Ethan started to feel his skin crawl under the weight of their words. He turned to flee, but Sincere had already arranged for people to block his exit. They dragged him before Sincere. Seeing Ethan, Victoria summoned a surprising amount of strength and stood protectively in front of him. "Sincere Blackwood, if you have a problem, take it out on me. Don't touch him." Clap, clap, clap. Sincere applauded with a smile. "See that? True love, folks. I haven't even said anything, and she's already defending him." Mr. Blackwood, this is all a misunderstanding. I'll drag this wretched girl away right now and make her kneel and apologize to you, Arthur said, trying to grab Victoria. But she dodged him. Dad, stay out of this, Vicky. I'm so scared, Ethan whimpered, hiding behind Victoria. Don't be afraid, I'm here. He won't dare touch you, Victoria said confidently, giving Ethan a reassuring look. She then turned to Sincere. Sincere Blackwood, you see how it is. The person I love isn't you. There's no need for you to keep pestering me. Let's just end it here. You scoundrel, what are you saying? Arthur nearly jumped out of his skin. He pointed at Victoria and roared, I dare you to say that again, Dad. I don't love Sincere Blackwood at all. Why are you forcing me? The one I love is Ethan. You bastard. Arthur clutched his chest, gasping for air. Honey. Eleanor rushed to support her husband. She then pointed a trembling finger at Victoria. You wretched child, Sincere has been so good to you. How could you say such things? Victoria sneered. Good to me. It's just because the Blackwoods are rich, isn't it? Without them, Ethan and I could run Rivers Corp just as well. Ungrateful child. You ungrateful child, how could my family have a daughter like you? Arthur gritted his teeth. Sincere Blackwood, I'll admit I used to like you, but that was only because I heard Ethan got married overseas, so I gave you a chance. But now that he's not married, our engagement is over. Fine, let's end it here then. As soon as Sincere's words fell, a smirk played on the lips of Ethan, who was hiding behind Victoria. And that fleeting expression was caught by Sincere. Sincere's own lips curved slightly as he walked towards Ethan. What are you doing? Victoria once again blocked Sincere, glaring at him. Get lost, Sincere said, dismissively flicking Victoria's head, sending her stumbling to the side. He walked up to Ethan and sneered. What? You think you have a chance just because a piece of work like Victoria broke up with me? Ethan didn't dare to speak, his eyes darting around nervously as he stared at Sincere's face. Suddenly, Sincere threw an arm around Ethan's neck, making him jump. He then led him to a table like they were old pals. Sincere picked up a chopstick. Know what this is? Ethan swallowed hard and nodded. Good. Glad you know, Sincere shouted. He grabbed one of Ethan's arms, slammed his hand onto the table, and spread his fingers. Then Sincere's hand holding the chopstick came down hard. The chopstick plunged straight through Ethan's hand, and then he pulled it right back out. In an instant, blood gushed like a fountain. Ah, Ethan's scream echoed throughout the hall. The guests involuntarily took a step back, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. Help me, Vicky. Help me, seeing her beloved being tortured like this. Victoria's eyes blazed with fury. She charged forward, pushed Sincere aside and pressed Ethan's bleeding hand against her chest. Sincere Blackwood, you bastard, if anything happens to Ethan, I will never forgive you. An ambulance. Call an ambulance. Victoria held Ethan in her arms, comforting him. Don't be afraid, Ethan. The ambulance is coming. It's coming soon. Sincere disgustedly tossed the chopstick on the floor and took a wet wipe from his bodyguard to clean his hands. What a damn disgrace. Never thought I'd be the one getting cheated on, Sincere muttered before turning and walking back onto the stage. In the end, Victoria had to call the ambulance herself. 2 stretchers were brought out, one for Arthur and one for Ethan. As she was leaving, Victoria gritted her teeth and threatened, Sincere Blackwood, you just wait. I'll make you pay for this. Though the words were spoken, everyone present just stared at Victoria like she was an idiot. After they had gone, Sincere raised the microphone. Everyone, you've all witnessed what happened between me and the Rivers family. From this day forward, my Blackwood family will have no connection whatsoever with the Rivers family. Those of you with grudges, settle them. Those of you with complaints, air them. With that, Sincere dropped the mic and walked off the stage. Over the years, with the support of the Blackwood Corporation, Rivers Corp had seized assets and made countless enemies in S City, but no one had dared to stand up to them. The reason was simple. Behind Rivers Corp stood the colossal Blackwood Corporation. But now, the heir of the Blackwood family had spoken. He was washing his hands of Rivers Corp. If that was the case, certain other corporations started getting ideas. 2 in a hospital room, Ethan Sullivan lay in bed, his bandaged hand resting on his chest. Victoria sat by his bedside, her face etched with worry as she watched him. Suddenly, Ethan's eyes fluttered open. He sat up and threw his arms around her, pleading, Vicky, don't leave me. I'm not leaving. I'm right here, Ethan, Victoria said, hugging him tenderly and patting his back. Ethan put on a guilty expression and whispered, I'm sorry, Vicky. I'm the reason you and Sincere broke up. Victoria waved it off. It's fine, Ethan. I never liked him anyway. It's better this way. Ethan's face lit up with surprise. Really, Vicky? Victoria's expression was serious. Of course, it's true, you're the one I love. Vicky, you're so good to me, Ethan said, hugging her and kissing her on the lips. Just then the door burst open, and Eleanor, her face a mask of fury, stormed in. Victoria Rivers, you animal, your father is lying unconscious in the room next door, and you're in here canoodling with this bastard. You're an animal. Eleanor marched over and slapped Victoria across the face. Coming after Sincere's earlier slap, this one stung terribly. Victoria shot to her feet, her brows furrowed. Mom, the doctor said Dad just fainted from the shock. Ethan lost so much blood. What's wrong with me staying with him for a bit? I'll go see Dad in a minute. You ungrateful child, what kind of spell has he cast on you? Even now you're still so lost you're about to destroy our entire family. Victoria was getting angry too. Mom, what are you talking about? How is the family being destroyed? Am I wrong to pursue my own happiness? I've told you before, I have the ability to run Rivers Corp well, and I'll have Ethan to help me. Eleanor almost laughed in fury. She pointed at Victoria. Good, very good, Victoria Rivers. So this other man is more important than your own father, is that it? I never said Ethan was more important than Dad. I already said I'll go see him in a minute. And Ethan is not the other man, Victoria declared defiantly. Eleanor's heart turned to ice. She couldn't believe the daughter she had raised could be so heartless, abandoning her own father for a man. Fine, Victoria Rivers, you stay here with him. Just stay here and keep him company with that. Eleanor turned and stormed out of the room. Vicky, you should go check on your father, Ethan said, tugging on her arm. Victoria thought for a moment, then shook her head. It's fine. The doctor said it's nothing serious with Dad. You're the one who lost too much blood. I'm all right, Vicky. Go see your father. Don't make your mother angry, Ethan said, patting her hand. Victoria threw her arms around him. Oh, Ethan, you're so wonderful. If only they could be as understanding as you. Go on, Vicky. After a moment's thought, Victoria finally nodded. All right then, Ethan. You wait here. I'll be right back. Okay, Ethan nodded, a smile in his eyes. But just as Victoria was about to leave, Ethan suddenly clutched his hand and cried out in a pained voice, Ah, my hand hurts so much. Victoria rushed back. What's wrong, Ethan? Why does it suddenly hurt? Ethan managed to squeeze out a couple of tears. I don't know, Vicky. It just really hurts. Okay, you wait here. I'll go get the doctor, Victoria said, hurrying out of the room. The moment she was gone, Ethan glanced at the door, then dropped his hand and lay back down leisurely. Blackwood Corporation, S City Branch, General Manager's Office. Sincere Blackwood was sitting at his desk, leisurely sipping tea. His secretary, Charles Miller, walked in holding a stack of documents. Mr. Blackwood, the investigation is complete. Ethan Sullivan did indeed study abroad, but the university is not well known. It ranks somewhere around 1/200th, Charles said, placing the file on the desk. Wow, 1/200th? Sincere picked up the file and chuckled as he read about Ethan's experiences abroad. I thought this Ethan Sullivan must be some kind of genius for Victoria to risk offending me for him. Turns out he's just a piece of crap. After reading, Sincere tossed the file carelessly onto the desk. Mr. Blackwood, should we make a move? Charles asked respectfully. Sincere waved his hand. No need. Let's just sit back and watch. Victoria Rivers used our Blackwood backing to act so aggressively towards other companies. Now that we're not supporting her anymore, I'd like to see if she can still maintain that attitude. Charles nodded. Indeed. That woman, Victoria, isn't very bright. She tends to push people to their limits. Now that we're out of the picture, the companies she oppressed will likely retaliate. And isn't that exactly what we want to see? Sincere smiled faintly. Besides, doesn't she have Ethan Sullivan to help her? Just as Sincere Blackwood had predicted. Without the backing of the Blackwood family, smaller companies really did start to compete with Rivers Corp. However, thanks to the foundation they had built and the fact that their competitors were all small firms, Rivers Corp didn't suffer any major setbacks. Although the impact was minor, there were plenty of smart people within Rivers Corp. Coupled with the widespread rumors about the engagement party fiasco, a sense of panic began to spread within the company. In her office, Victoria's secretary, Vivian Wallace, handed her a document. Ms. Rivers, Jadeite Inc. has also unilaterally terminated their contract with us. Victoria scoffed. There are at least 80, if not 100, companies lining up to work with Rivers Corp. I only gave the material supplier contract for this project to Jadeite because I thought their president was a decent guy. Victoria signed the document. Put the word out. We're opening a new tender for this project supplier. Vivian looked like she wanted to say something, but in the end she just nodded. After Vivian left, Victoria's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from the bank. It notified her of a charge of over $8 million on her bank card. A moment later, a notification popped up on her messaging app. It was a photo from Ethan Sullivan, a Rolls-Royce. Ethan, what do you think, Vicky? Is it beautiful? Over $8 million was nothing to Victoria. She dotingly sent a voice message. It's gorgeous. You have great taste. Ethan, Vicky, I also saw a Ferrari I like. Can I buy it? Victoria replied generously. Of course. Go ahead and buy it. Ethan, moi, Vicky, you're the best. After some more flirting, Victoria's phone kept buzzing with text messages. Annoyed, she simply turned off the notifications. In the past, whenever Rivers Corp announced a tender, countless companies would flock to them, trying every trick in the book to win the project. But this time, to Victoria's surprise, not a single company applied. Not only that, but in the past few days, there had been a continuous stream of unilateral contract cancellations. Although the other parties paid the penalty fees, compared to the losses from project delays, that money was a drop in the bucket. In her office, Victoria slammed a file onto the floor. Is it the Blackwood Corporation? Is this sincere Blackwood's revenge? Is he even a man? Is this the only kind of trick he knows how to pull? Victoria's face was contorted with hatred. More than 10 suppliers had canceled their contracts, bringing all of Rivers Corp's projects to a standstill. Vivian stood by silently, not daring to speak. Bastard, I'm going to find him. Victoria couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed her bag from the desk and stormed out of the office. In the lobby of the Blackwood Corporation branch office, Victoria charged in and headed for the president's private elevator. But before her hand could touch the button, a security guard stopped her. This is the president's private elevator. Please use the one over there. Victoria froze. She pointed to herself. You don't recognize me? The guard smiled. Of course I do. Victoria Rivers, president of Rivers Corp. Then you still dare to stop me? Why wouldn't I dare? The guard laughed as if looking at an idiot, then turned to his colleague. Come on, tell our great President Rivers what Mr. Blackwood's orders were. The other guard cleared his throat and announced loudly, Victoria Rivers and dogs are not permitted inside. His voice was so loud that the entire lobby could hear it. Victoria's face flushed crimson. She instinctively looked around. She felt like everyone was staring at her, and in fact, they were. News of the engagement party had spread throughout S-City's upper circles, and Victoria had been branded a slut and other such names. She could faintly hear people whispering, Is that the president of Rivers Corp? She's so beautiful, what good is being beautiful? She's an ungrateful wretch. Ms. Rivers is just bravely pursuing love. What do you people know? The earlier comments made Victoria want to crawl into a hole. But that last one actually made her feel like she hadn't done anything wrong. So what? Is it wrong for me to pursue my own love? I'm not wrong thinking this. Victoria took a deep breath and spoke calmly to the guard. I need to see Mr. Blackwood about something. Do you have an appointment? Victoria was taken aback. An appointment? What do you think? Our Mr. Blackwood is a very busy man. He doesn't have time to deal with every stray cat and dog, the guard said with a shrug, his meaning clear. How could Victoria not understand? She was so angry she wanted to slap him. But after her persistent pestering, the head of security finally informed Sincere's secretary. The reply was that Mr. Blackwood would see her. In the office, Sincere was leaning back in his chair, playing a game on his phone. Victoria burst in, her face full of rage. She slammed both hands on his desk and roared, Sincere Blackwood, what is the meaning of this? What right do you have to make our suppliers cancel their contracts with us? Is this all you're capable of? I'm warning you, cut out these petty tricks. You think you can threaten me into coming back to you? Impossible. Sincere, still holding his phone, glanced up at her. He smiled faintly and put his phone down on the desk. Come here, Victoria. I have something to tell you, Sincere said, slowly standing up and beckoning to her. Victoria's eyes widened. What do you want? What do I want? I'm going to tell you why, Sincere said with a harmless-looking smile. You'd better not try anything, Victoria threatened, leaning her face closer. Just as Victoria was expecting to hear something, a sudden gust of wind hit her. With a sharp smack, one side of her face exploded in pain. The force of the blow sent her spinning around twice before she collapsed onto the floor. She clutched her face, looking at Sincere in disbelief. You dare hit me?" Sincere looked utterly exasperated. He strode over to her and pointed down at her. "Victoria Rivers, I've known you for so long, but it's only in these past few days that I've realized what kind of person I was in love with. Absolutely brainless dare to hit you? I even hit your father, didn't you see that? Did you not count how many times I slapped you that day? Huh? And you have the nerve to come here and question me? Let's be clear, this has nothing to do with me, but even if it did, what are you going to do about it? Speak up. What can you possibly do to me?" Victoria glared at Sincere with hatred, but she couldn't utter a single word. "Let me tell you something, Victoria Rivers. For a piece of work like you, I must have been blind to have fallen for you. Now let me make it plain. What you and your little lover do has nothing to do with me. Whether you two live or die is none of my business. The most I'll do is chip in $200 for your funeral. I won't even have time to burn paper offerings at your grave, understand? Now, get out of my office. What kind of trash thinks they can just walk into my office?" Without another glance, Sincere walked back to his desk and picked up the phone. "Hello, security? Listen up. From now on, if Victoria Rivers comes to the company again, just throw her out. If you can't, then you don't need to come to work anymore. Also, send someone up now and get her out of here. Sincere Blackwood, you bastard, you can't do this to me," Victoria sobbed, sitting on the floor, biting her lip. "Get lost, you idiot." Sincere adjusted his suit collar, not even sparing her a glance as he walked out. Victoria didn't see Sincere again, not even as the security guards were dragging her away. After being thrown out of the Blackwood Corporation, a thought began to form in Victoria's mind. If she were still Sincere Blackwood's girlfriend, she wouldn't be in such a pathetic state. She touched her swollen face and hissed in pain. Just then her phone rang. "Hello? Miss Rivers, it's bad the board members are calling a meeting to remove you as president," Vivian's anxious voice came from the other end. "What?" Victoria was shocked. "I'm on my way back now. Rivers Corp conference room." The atmosphere was incredibly tense. Over a dozen board members of Rivers Corp sat around the conference table, with Victoria at the head. "Ms. Rivers, you've seen the current situation at Rivers Corp. I don't think you're fit to be president anymore," a middle-aged director said, breaking the silence. "That's right, Ms. Rivers. The chairman is still in the hospital, his condition unknown. As his daughter, you should be taking care of him. I heard President Rivers has been spending all her time with her little lover. Her own father is unconscious and she has barely visited him." The director's comments, one after another, made Victoria's face turn red with anger. Smack! Victoria slammed her hand on the table. "Where were all of you when I was making money for the company? Now that the company is facing some minor difficulties, you're all in a rush to remove me? That's enough," one director said dismissively. "Do you think the company's previous profits had anything to do with your management? With the Blackwood Corporation's support, even a pig could make money as CEO. Ms. Rivers, don't tell me you actually thought you earned that money through your own abilities. If you really think that, then we absolutely must remove you, because I don't want to entrust my investment to an idiot." The director's words were merciless, a direct personal attack. "You? Me what? I'm just saying what everyone else here is thinking. Am I wrong, fellow directors? Ms. Rivers, let me give you a piece of advice. If you're angry, resign on your own, and the company might still be saved. If you refuse to let go, then as far as I'm concerned, my only option is to withdraw my investment," a female director said grimly. Me too. And me, if we pull out now, we can still make a little profit. If we don't, we'll probably lose everything. You're all pushing me too far," Victoria said through gritted teeth. "Miss Rivers, I heard you went to the Blackwood Corporation before this meeting." "But your face," a shareholder said with a mocking expression. "Looks like you hit a wall, didn't you?" "Ah, ha ha ha." The shareholder looked around at the others and laughed. Smack! Victoria slammed her hand on the table again, her face flushed. "My Rivers family holds 57% of the shares in Rivers Corp. You don't have the right to remove me," seeing Victoria's hardline stance. The shareholders' faces instantly turned cold. "So, Ms. Rivers intends to remain in the president's seat?" said the third largest shareholder, his face grim. "Yes, that's right. Rivers Corp belongs to my family, not yours." "You're all just reaping the benefits," Victoria retorted sharply. The third largest shareholder's eyes widened with anger. Fine, very good. In that case, there's no need for me to stay here. He stood up and walked out of the conference room. One by one, the other shareholders followed suit, leaving the room. Once everyone was gone, Victoria angrily swept the documents off the table, her face contorted. These bastards, they had nothing to say when we were making money, but now they were all trying to force me out. Just then, the conference room door opened. It was Ethan Sullivan, his hand, which had been pierced a few days ago, still wrapped in gauze. Seeing Ethan, Victoria's expression immediately changed to one of joy. "Ethan, you're here." Ethan smiled, looking at the mess on the floor. "What's all this?" he asked, wrapping an arm around Victoria's slender waist. Victoria didn't resist. Instead, she leaned into his embrace. "Ethan, they're all bullying me. When are you going to come and help me?" Ethan froze for a moment, then smiled. "I really want to help you, but my hand—" He held up his bandaged hand. Seeing it, Victoria's face filled with pain. She took his hand, her eyes welling up. "I understand, Ethan. I know you want to help. Just focus on getting better. We can talk about it after you've recovered." Sigh. Ethan sighed, his hand roaming restlessly over Victoria's body. "Vicky, I know you're in a tough spot. I hear the Blackwoods are very powerful?" Victoria looked up at Ethan with adoration and nodded. Ethan's eyes darted around. "Vicky, what about the Blackwoods' power overseas?" Victoria thought for a moment. "They have some influence overseas, but it's not nearly as strong as it is here." "I see," Ethan said, nodding thoughtfully. 1 month later, in a private room at a luxurious S-City club. "Mr. Mike, a toast to you," Victoria said, her face flushed, holding a glass of red wine with both hands in a subservient manner towards the black man beside her. Mike looked arrogant, leaning back in his chair. He casually lifted his wine glass with one hand and said in broken English, "Ms. Rivers, you are too kind. Ethan and I are good friends. Since you are his girlfriend, I will definitely help with this matter." Victoria's expression immediately turned to one of delighted surprise. "Then, thank you so much, Mr. Mike." She took a sip of her wine. Mike smiled and took a small sip as well. Ethan spoke up. "Vicky, Mike and I are like brothers. His family is a major one in the United States. With his help, the Blackwoods are nothing." Victoria nodded, her face full of gratitude. "Thank you, Ethan." Ethan put an arm around Victoria's waist with a casual air. "Vicky, you're being too formal. After all, I am your boyfriend." He then hugged Victoria and chatted with Mike, looking for all the world like they were the closest of brothers. After several rounds of drinks and courses of food, just as the dinner was about to end, Mike suddenly said, "I hear that the music culture in your country is very popular. I have some free time today and would like to experience it. Ms. Rivers, what do you think?" Victoria's cheeks were flushed, clearly a bit drunk. But hearing that Mike wanted to have some fun, she instinctively looked at Ethan. Ethan gave her a reassuring look and whispered, "Vicky, I'll go with you. Mike is a major client. We can't be poor hosts." Victoria, her face red, nodded obediently. "Mike, shall we go to the KTV in the club?" Of course, Mike's eyes gleamed. "Shall we go now?" "As you wish," Ethan said, glancing at Victoria. Victoria stood up. "Then, I'll go to the restroom first. Ethan, you and Mike can wait for me in the lobby downstairs." Okay, Vicky, without even taking her phone, Victoria went to the restroom. The moment she left the private room, Mike's expression turned worried. "Ethan, are we sure about this, Mike? Just trust me, this woman is an idiot. We'll make a killing, split it 50-50 and live it up abroad. Even though Rivers Corp's market value is shrinking. This time we'll each get at least this much." Ethan held up one finger. "How much is that?" Mike asked with a frown. Ethan slowly mouthed a number, 10 million, then he added, "Dollars swoosh." Mike shot upright at that number. "That much?" "Of course, and that's a conservative estimate." Mike's beady eyes darted back and forth. 10 million US dollars with that kind of money, why would he need to be a bodyguard? He could take his 10 million and live a life of leisure. Just then, Victoria's phone, which was on the table, started vibrating. Ethan saw the caller ID mother. His expression instantly soured. "It's that old hag again, the damn pest," Ethan muttered in disgust, then immediately blacklisted the number. The restroom. Victoria, her face flushed, came out of the women's restroom. A young man was washing his hands at the sinks. When Victoria saw him, she bristled like a startled cat. "Sincere Blackwood? What are you doing here? Are you following me?" Sincere had just turned off the faucet. He turned around at the sound of her voice. Victoria was pointing at him, her face full of anger. Before he could speak, she continued, "Sincere Blackwood, you're disgusting. But so what? The company investing in Rivers Corp this time is the Max Corporation. You've heard of the Max Corporation, right? They're a top 10 conglomerate in the U.S. Even your Blackwood family can't compare to a single one of their fingers." Sincere couldn't be bothered to deal with this idiot. But when he heard Max Corporation, he frowned. "You said the Max Corporation? Who else?" Victoria said proudly. "Even if you know, what can you do? Once Rivers Corp secures the deal with the Max Corporation, what can your family possibly do?" Sincere chuckled. "Congratulations, then." With that, he left the restroom. Victoria froze. What was that? Shouldn't he be scared? Even if he's not scared, he should at least be shocked. That's the Max Corporation. Could it be that he doesn't know about them? But how is that possible? As Sincere was walking back to his private room, an idea struck him. He beckoned to his bodyguard. He whispered a few words in his ear, then entered the room. Inside, a young American man was seated. He was dressed in a high-end custom suit, with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a strong build. He was John Max, the first-in-line heir to the Max family fortune. Seeing Sincere return, John's face lit up. He pointed to a dish on the table. "Sincere, come quick. This dish is absolutely delicious. You can't get food this authentic in the Chinese restaurants back home," he said, eating with gusto. "John, you're the direct heir of the Max family. If you want authentic Chinese food, it shouldn't be hard to get, right?" John waved his hand. "The food is easy to find, but the flavor is hard to replicate. Every time I come here, I make sure my stomach gets a treat first. Ha ha ha." After chatting for a while, Sincere suddenly asked, "Hey John, I heard you're planning to cooperate with Rivers Corp this time?" John looked up, confused. "What? Rivers Corp? What kind of company is that? I've never heard of it." Sincere was sharp. Hearing John's words, he knew there were only 3 possibilities. 1. John was lying to him. 2. Victoria was lying to him. Or 3. Victoria had been duped. The first was clearly impossible, and the second was highly unlikely. That left only the 3rd possibility. "Oh, by the way, Sincere," John looked up, his expression serious. "I'm planning to entrust the family's business expansion in this country to your Blackwood Corporation. Isn't there an old saying here? Don't let the good stuff go to outsiders." "Ha ha ha, John, you've really been here a long time," Sincere laughed. John raised his wine glass with a smile. "I'm very fond of this country." For the next 2 hours, they discussed the specific details of their partnership. Eventually, they reached a mutual agreement. Just then, the bodyguard knocked and entered the room. He leaned in and whispered something in Sincere's ear. Sincere looked surprised at first, but then a smile spread across his face. He said a few words to the bodyguard and sent him out. "Sincere, what is it? Good news?" John asked like a curious child. "John, how about I take you to see a show tomorrow?" "A show?" John was taken aback, then smiled. "The theatrical arts here have a 1,000-year history. It would be worth seeing." No, I'm taking you to see a real drama, not a traditional opera, ha ha ha." "Oh, well then I'm very much looking forward to it." Inside the KTV room, Mike, Ethan, and Victoria emerged. Victoria was being supported by the 2 men, limp as a rag doll. As they walked, Mike asked, "Ethan, are you sure this is okay?" Ethan glanced around. "Mike, you're too timid. We had fun tonight. I'll explain it to her tomorrow." "What if she finds out?" "That's a problem for later. Once the contract is signed tomorrow and the money is in our account, we'll be long gone." Hey, Ethan, you really are a scumbag." Victoria didn't hear a single word of their plotting as they dragged her into a room. The next morning, Ethan was woken by a knock on the door. He instinctively looked around and saw Mike on top of Victoria. Ethan was horrified. He immediately shook Mike awake. "Are you crazy? I told you to leave in the morning. Why are you still here? What if this idiot wakes up?" Ethan hissed in a low voice. "Get dressed and go, I'll get breakfast." Ethan glared at Mike and hurried to the door. He thought it was room service, but when he opened the door, he found a crowd of reporters outside, all pointing their cameras at him. Seeing Ethan was like a shot of adrenaline for the reporters. "That's him. He's the guy who was all over President Rivers at Mr. Blackwood's engagement party." "President Rivers must be in there," one reporter shouted, pushing past Ethan and rushing into the room. Only then did Ethan realize what was happening. But it was too late. A horde of reporters swarmed in, taking photos and videos of everything. Mike, still not fully dressed, quickly covered his face and cursed, Fuck, look, isn't that the president of Rivers Corp on the bed? Holy crap, President Rivers really knows how to party. No wonder Mr. Blackwood called off the engagement. I wouldn't want someone like that either. Get out. Stop taking pictures. Stop it. Ethan was frantic, trying to shield Victoria's body, but one person was useless. The reporters completely ignored him. Mike cowered in a corner, trembling. Just then, the commotion woke Victoria up. She groaned and rubbed her head, feeling dizzy, but the sounds behind her instantly snapped her awake. President Rivers, could you please explain your relationship with these two gentlemen? President Rivers, what is your relationship with this gentleman here? President Rivers, do you believe Mr. Blackwood was right to break off the engagement with you? Victoria froze, her pupils shrinking. She mechanically looked down at herself, then let out a scream, frantically pulling the blanket around her. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue all of you. Mike, call the police. Mike. Mike, huh? Ethan turned his head. Mike was nowhere to be seen. He ran away? Outside the door, Sincere Blackwood leaned against the wall with a playful look. John Max beside him. John's face was cold as he stared at Mike, who was pinned to the floor by his bodyguards. Mike looked utterly defeated, not daring to lift his head. Fuck, Mike, you are a disgrace to the family. I am so disappointed in you. When we get back to the States, you will face the most severe punishment. At these words, Mike's legs gave out, and he collapsed on the floor, his beady eyes staring at the ground in disbelief. John, I didn't expect him to be your bodyguard, Sincere said with a laugh. Sincere, thank you. If it weren't for you, who knows what would have happened with this scumbag still by my side. I will make him pay for this. Sincere was unconcerned. Do as you see fit. Just then, Sincere's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID, thought for a moment, and answered. As soon as he put the phone to his ear, an anxious voice came through. Sincere cleaned his ear with his pinky. What does it matter to me if he's dead or not? Your precious daughter is having a good time at the hotel with her little lover. Go find her. Oh, she blocked you? Well, then I can't help you. The voice on the other end kept talking, but Sincere was growing impatient. Am I responsible for his death? If you think so, then go ahead and sue me. Don't waste my time with this. Just because you're old doesn't mean you can yell at me. You know exactly what your daughter did. But then again, I guess it all balances out. Someone who doesn't even care that her own father died. Who else is she going to care about? With that, Sincere hung up and blacklisted the number. Sincere, what's wrong? Sincere shook his head. Nothing. Just someone unimportant. Inside the room, Victoria stared daggers at Ethan. She had just pieced everything together. She never imagined things would turn out like this. Sweat beaded on Ethan's forehead. All his explanations were feeble. Victoria might be naive, but she wasn't a fool. She had been with Ethan before, but it had never hurt like this. The feeling in her body couldn't be faked. To think that the man she loved had personally handed her over to someone else. Victoria bit her lip to keep from crying. She said viciously, Ethan Sullivan, you animal. Ethan immediately fell to his knees and hugged her. Vicky, I was wrong. I was really wrong, Vicky. But this wasn't the old Victoria. She kicked him in the chest and yelled, You bastard, I loved you so much. How could you do this to me? Vicky, I just had a moment of weakness, please. Just forgive me this once, Ethan cried, but Victoria was unmoved. She slapped him across the face and hissed, Get out. Just get out. Seeing that begging wasn't working, Ethan dropped the act. He stood up with a sneer, his face contorted. You bitch. Who you trying to fool with that innocent act? Ethan pointed at her. Sincere Blackwood was so good to you, but you still messed around with me, didn't you? I used to think you were so capable, but it turns out Sincere was helping you all along. What can you do on your own, Victoria? Without him, you're useless, you hear me? The company has no orders. A woman like you, no one would even want you as an escort. They'd think you're too dirty. Don't you have any self-awareness? Stop acting so pure, he pointed at himself. And now you're blaming me? Weren't you calling me darling just a while ago? Ethan's words stabbed at Victoria's heart one by one. But she couldn't refute them. Lately she had been feeling some regret. Comparing Ethan to Sincere was like comparing heaven and earth. When she was with Sincere, the company flourished, orders poured in, and he treated her incredibly well, constantly surprising her with luxury bags as if they were free. And Ethan? He had nothing but the hollow title of the one that got away in her mind. He hadn't helped her with the business at all. All he knew was how to spend money. When she heard he had connected with the Max Corporation, she thought he was finally revealing his hidden talents, but she never expected this outcome. Only now did she realize how truly stupid she had been. At that thought, Victoria's face filled with despair. She picked up her phone and dialed 911. "What are you doing?" Ethan tried to snatch the phone, but she dodged him. "Vicky, don't be rash." Ethan was scared. What he did was illegal, and what's more, but Victoria wasn't listening. "I want to report a crime." As the police led a dejected Ethan away, they passed by Sincere. The drama was over. Sincere's goal had been achieved. He glanced towards the room, then turned to leave. Suddenly, a voice called out. Sincere turned to see Victoria, fully dressed. She stood at the doorway, pale and disheveled, one hand on the doorframe. Well, if it isn't President Rivers, did you have fun?" Sincere said, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. Victoria looked wretched. "You did this, didn't you?" Sincere shrugged, admitting it freely. "Yep, I did. Had to let all the netizens see, didn't I?" Victoria gave a bitter laugh. "Yes, after what I did to you, you have every right to get revenge." Then she asked a question. "Sincere Blackwood, do you still love me?" Pfft, Sincere almost burst out laughing. "Love you? Oh, I'm dying of love for you. Seriously, Victoria, I'm baffled. How can your brain even form a question like that? Love what about you? The fact that you cheated on me? Or the fact that you can get pregnant without a doctor saving me the delivery costs? So damn stupid." Sincere waved a hand dismissively and turned to leave. Sincere Blackwood, Victoria shouted at his back, then fell to her knees. I regret it. I really regret it." Sincere paused but didn't turn around. "You don't regret it. You just realized you're hopelessly stupid and your company is about to go under." "No, that's not it," Victoria mumbled, shaking her head. "Whether it is or not doesn't matter. What matters is that I think it is understand." Sincere didn't want to waste any more time on her and started walking away. "Oh, by the way, just a heads up, your mom called earlier. Said your dad's dead. She tried calling you, but you didn't answer. My dad—" Victoria froze. She didn't think Sincere would joke about something like this. She rushed back into the room, found her phone, and dialed her mother's number. No answer. She tried 7 or 8 more times. Still no answer. Victoria couldn't think about anything else. She hurried to the garage and drove home. When Victoria arrived, she saw that the family villa was draped in white silk. They were holding a funeral. Victoria's legs went weak as she got out of the car. She nearly collapsed. She staggered to the villa's main gate, used the facial recognition scanner, and went inside. In the courtyard, relatives and friends of the Rivers family stood dressed in black, their faces solemn. In the center was a portrait of her father. Someone saw Victoria and immediately started shouting, "Victoria Rivers, get out of here!" The speaker was a middle-aged man, her father's older brother, her uncle Robert Rivers. "Uncle, I'm not leaving." Robert's eyes narrowed into a sneer. "Not leaving? Your father is dead. Your mother called you, wanting you to see him off one last time, and you blacklisted her. What were you doing then? Now you decide to show up? You scoundrel, Uncle. I didn't know. I really didn't know." Victoria sobbed, her head bowed as she shook it over and over. "You didn't know? Didn't you know your father was gravely ill? Huh? How many times did your mother call you? You didn't answer once you didn't visit. Once you were too busy with that bastard. Well, go on, then go be with him. No one will bother you two anymore," Robert yelled. During this, other family members started to verbally attack Victoria. That girl Vicky seemed so nice when she was little. Who knew she'd turn out to be such a monster? Tell me about it. You really can't judge a book by its cover. To abandon her own father for a man. I don't know if she did it on purpose or if she's just that stupid. The heir of the Blackwood family was so good to her. Rich, powerful, and handsome. I can't believe she'd throw someone like that away for some pretty boy. I just don't get it. "No, I'm not leaving. Don't make me leave, Uncle," Victoria pleaded, her face burning with shame as she knelt on the ground. Just then, her mother walked over. "Brother, let me talk to her." Victoria looked up and saw her mother's swollen, tear-streaked face. Eleanor's expression was blank. She said flatly, "Your father's condition was actually improving. The only thing he had to avoid was getting agitated. But as luck would have it, he found out about the mass withdrawal of investments from the shareholders of Rivers Corp. He couldn't handle the shock, and that was it. Go and kowtow to your father, and then leave this house." Victoria's head shot up. Mom, what do you mean, leave the house? I'm your daughter, Mom. Eleanor's voice rose in anger. Not as of yesterday. Our mother-daughter relationship is over in the end. Victoria was driven out of the family home by everyone. Not a single person spoke up for her. Victoria sat slumped in front of the gate of the Rivers estate, her expression numb. This was her home, but now she had been cast out. She didn't blame anyone else. She only blamed herself for being so stupid. She had thrown away Sincere Blackwood to stubbornly chase after her one that got away. And now, her family was gone. Her company was almost gone. Everything was gone. 6 months later, at the Blackwood Corporation. Mr. Blackwood, the Max Corporation was very satisfied with the first round of our partnership. They plan to send a team next Monday to discuss the second round, Sincere's secretary, Charles Miller, said with a smile, holding a file. Sincere looked through the file and nodded. How much are they planning to invest in the second round? The initial budget is $1.5 billion. It seems the funding for the second round will be very substantial. Yes, Mr. Blackwood. Good, I understand. Reply to the Max Corporation and tell them I will personally attend the meeting on Monday. Yes, Mr. Blackwood, Charles nodded. What is it, something on your mind? Sincere asked, looking up at Charles, who seemed hesitant. Mr. Blackwood, Eleanor Rivers is dead. Eleanor Rivers? Sincere paused for a moment, then remembered. She was Victoria Rivers's mother. After more than 6 months, he had almost forgotten. Sincere showed no emotion, simply asking, how did she die? I heard that Ethan Sullivan applied for medical parole and went to the Rivers home. He was apparently looking to kill Victoria, but he couldn't find her, so he killed Eleanor instead. They say the scene was quite brutal. Ethan was arrested on the spot. If he doesn't get the death penalty, he'll at least get life in prison. Sincere chuckled. So, in other words, Victoria Rivers finally succeeded in getting her parents killed? Charles stifled a laugh. Mr. Blackwood, when you put it that way, I suppose you're not wrong. Then her cheating on me and our breakup, was it a blessing in disguise for me? Ah ha ha, Mr. Blackwood, thinking about it that way, it seems that no one who gets close to Victoria Rivers has a happy ending. Rain poured from a sky. It looked as if it had been torn open, crashing onto the asphalt with a deafening roar. Victoria ran barefoot down the middle of the road. The cold rain soaked through her white nightdress, the fabric clinging to her skin, outlining her gaunt frame. Her long hair was plastered to her cheeks and neck like countless black water snakes. Why her screams were swallowed by the thunder. She clawed at her own hair, her nails digging into her scalp. At that moment, Victoria was a shell of her former self, running wildly down the road, screaming, Why are you doing this to me? Not far ahead, the high beams of a truck pierced the curtain of rain, but the torrential downpour had reduced visibility to almost zero. Victoria slowly turned to face the blinding headlights. In that moment, she felt a sense of release. Losing both her parents in the span of half a year had been a devastating blow. She could barely even remember who she was anymore. The front of the truck slammed into Victoria's body. At the moment of impact, the world shifted into slow motion. Victoria felt herself fly, her body as light as a feather. She saw the raindrops suspended in mid-air, saw the truck driver's face twisted in horror. Strangely, she felt no pain, only a peculiar sense of peace. Thump! Her body landed heavily on the road dozens of feet away, like a discarded rag doll. Blood spread rapidly from beneath her, diluted by the rain into a pale pink that flowed towards the drain at the side of the road.